I have a right to self-sovereignty. Bring each point of self-respect into your awareness, and you become so intoxicated. Those who have faith in the intellect are able to change problems into solution, because faith means victory. And I thought that this was a nice beginning with Baba's words. And Baba's often connected faith and victory. It's like they goes together. But faith in myself is getting to know and experience my original nature. And the true identity that Baba revealed to us is the gift of the confluence age. It's like it's the last gift of the cycle, and it's the best gift. Sometimes I think, what would I do if I didn't know all of this? So I'm really grateful to know who I am and be able to work on myself and to improve that kind of awareness. Maybe we don't realize it because we give it for granted often, but it's an incredible gift that God has given to us. And it does reinforce that kind of awareness, faith, understanding every day, with the Murli. And as much as I practice soul consciousness, that faith increases. The first time I did experience to be a soul, it was during the 7 days course. It was like a new dimension that opened up, and the feeling of being freed from a cage. Like eventually I can move out of the cage. It was an immense experience of freedom. And I think we all experience that from time to time, since the moment that light of the soul was lit. It was kind of a haha moment. But that was just the beginning, because then the pull of the old rooted sanskara is very strong. And on the other side, the faith in the goodness and in the greatness of the self. And that becomes a constant swing between the old and the new. And the old is very powerfully pulling us back. So that's why faith in the self is so important, because it just keeps me going into the side of truth, of my real self. And do you believe you are much more than what you thought you were? Sometimes I do ask myself this question: do I deeply believe I'm what Baba says I am? So do you believe you are greater than what you consider yourself to be before? Because to overcome sanskaras of self-doubt, self-sabotaging, fears, and allow awareness to guide me and to have pure pride, it's a lifelong journey. It's our journey. And it's a challenge that we face probably on a daily basis. How much do I swing from the old to the new? And how much the new has more impact than the old? I once heard a phrase that inspired me a lot. And that phrase was, "Men can steal honey, from bees, but it can't steal their ability to make honey. So Maya can fool me, can try to steal whatever, but my true nature is still there, is still within, waiting for me to see it and to use it. And so, few steps to reinforce my faith in the self. The first step is to work on your strength. When you fail over and over at anything that seems easy to others, but I fail again and again, it's quite tough to believe in the self, isn't it? The tendency to focus on what I can't do or is difficult to do is very strong. It's like it's a tendency to focus on what doesn't work, on what I can't do. And it's like painfully highlight in the mind all of that. And guilty feelings, shame, disheartened, sense of failure becomes a measure feeling inside. So if I can just stop spinning that wheels of negative thoughts, of waste thoughts that we get lost in, and we get extremely tired by that. And I will avoid to feel unworthy or incapable. So maybe I can choose to focus on what I'm good at and to use that for service. So what are you good at? And use it for service. And that's a way to reinforce faith in yourself. But beside this, actually, God sometimes has a different plan. He will make us work on what we don't think we can do. That's the challenge. So surrendering the mind and the fear of not being able to do something and let it be and go with the flow. Sorry. Knowing that Baba will never ask me to do something that is not possible for me to do. He is clever enough, knowledgeable enough, that you know better than me what is good for me, for my growth, and to build and strengthen my faith. So he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's God. So it's like he has a complete map of reality about things that we don't know about ourselves, about reality, about the world. So in which way can I allow God to lead the show and strengthen my faith? But just to give an example, at the very beginning of my Brahmin life, I was probably a few months in Gyan. There was an event, interfaith event, outside the Vatican in Rome. And they asked me to do a commentary, just a meditation commentary, which all of us probably do very often. But for me, it was the first time. I was few months in Gyan, never done it earlier, and most of all, I never faced the public. And I've tried my best to avoid it, really trying all the possible excuses to just escape. But nothing worked, so I had to do it. And I was really in panic, frightened to death. and yet I had to go on the stage. And there were full room, like 160 people, if I remember properly. And I always thought I could not do it. And yet, as soon as I sat on the stage and I said, Baba, it's your job. I'm just an instrument here. And then words start flowing. And it became an incredible experience. And I was also shocked when I realized that the Dalai Lama was sitting in the first row. And I didn't notice earlier. And since then, since that moment of courage, of faith, it became easy to do meditation commentary, even though it was something I never did it before. So it's like if you accept what drama is pushing you towards, then you develop some kind of ability. And more than anything, you develop a bit of confidence. So obedience to drama is learning not to control. Because when we reject, or refuse, or resist, or react, it's like willing to control drama. And because we can only control according to the length of understanding and within the range of what I can see, or what I know. But we know very little, and we know very little. So obedience is surrendering to the one that knows everything and have the wider picture in front of himself. That's faith. I really deeply think that faith and surrender, they go together. And the more I surrender, the more my faith becomes unshakable. And the more that my faith becomes unshakable, the more I'm willing to be available to God for his unlimited job. And it's like I become more and more awake to return to my pure and powerful and perfect state. 3 P's: pure, powerful, and perfect. And so I deeply believe that the soul is in an innate way pure, powerful, and perfect. Because often we hear people saying, oh, I'm not perfect, I'm human. But we are divine being, so perfection is part of us, which at the end of the cycle is really difficult to grasp. To use my strength for service is a way to create, of course, good karma and to build trust in myself. So whatever good quality and skills I have, if I use them, I surely build trust in myself. But when I use what I don't know about myself, but God knows, but I don't know, then that's even greater. That makes me an all-rounder. And this will increase enormously the faith in myself, reawakening the best part of me, which I didn't know it did exist. So it's like entering a dimension inside that it was unknown. But it's my reality, it's me. And it's such an adventure to discover the self, an incredible adventure at this time. And we walk in that adventure with the greatest being, which is God. I think is never such a fascinating time that is at the confluence age. And when I shift my focus to my strength rather than what I can do or what I'm not capable to do. So when I accept, when I surrender, when I just let it go, let it be, then I become competent and confident and more faithful. And there is a deep sense of peace, because it's like I'm doing what I'm meant to do. And I'm walking the path that God has paved for me. So to know and use your strengths, the strengths you know and the one that God knows, I think is something to practice. And the second practice is to embrace who you are. How can you have faith in yourself when you don't know who you really are? Is what we tell people often, giving the course. Of course, we are trying hard to be, sometimes we are trying hard to be what we are not, copying somebody else would like us to be. So when Baba speaks about deities, angels, do you feel he's talking about you? Or do you think it's about the daddies or the seniors? It's about somebody else. It's good, important to check. When Baba says you are angels, is he talking about us, about me? Or is he talking about somebody else? Because of course the accumulation of mistakes within birth after birth has ruined our personality to such an extent that even self-trust can be hard to re-establish. Do you know that game of sweet Darren Brush? Sometimes we do this game when we gather as a family, or even in public programs sometimes when we know people a bit more. And this exercise or game of sweet Darren Brush is to tell each other the good things that we see in each other. Like I can see in you that you are so whatever, generous, selfless, serviceable, cheerful, respectful, any quality. So it's so good because people tells you what they see in you, how wonderful you are, how good you are, how special you are. And usually people feel so good hearing good things about them. And you see people smiling from here to here because it's so nice to hear good things about the self. So in the same way, can I sit with Baba and let him whisper in my ear, my child, you are, and whatever I can hear. Not to increase ego or arrogance, of course, but to improve my soul awareness and deep faith in the self. I think it's a wonderful exercise in yoga to hear what Baba has to say to me and to let him improve my self-respect, and to let him reveal to me what he sees in me and why did he choose me. So yoga is our main source of strength, our main source of faith. So a third practice is to use the shield of faith. Faith is like a big shield, because some people might not like the new you. When you come to this path, become a Brahmin, some people outside will react. They would not like the new you. It's a challenge for them. And that's okay. They will at some point. They will like you so much at some point when they will need your strength, your faith to sustain them. People love to criticize, to judge, to challenge. So faith is an incredible shield that protects yourself from feeling offended, feeling attacked or defamed. Because today they defame you and tomorrow they will bring you flowers. No, often Baba says so. Today they defame you, but tomorrow they will bring you flowers. Remember that your experience in life is about you, and their experience in life is about them. And all of us are in a healing process. True faith is inclusive. It's an energy that invites and embraces diversity. When I'm centered in the awareness of the self, I'm very inclusive. And there is a kind of love that doesn't discriminate at all. There is no discrimination in spiritual love. It's so inclusive. And as much as I learn to be centered, no matter what happens outside, such stability and faith is a non-violent response to people and to life. So I like to think and practice to be in my center. You know, when we go to a center, well, I live in a center since the very beginning, actually. I was only 9 months when I start living in a center. So my entire life, more or less, is like that. But so the center is like an oasis of peace and power and pure vibration and atmosphere. But the real center is within me. And when I stabilize myself in that center, then I'm surely unshakable. And the practice of going out and in, is what Baba invites us to do every day. I remember somebody shared a story, I don't remember where I heard it, but I do remember it very well. And it's about Dadi Kumarka, that probably all of you knows very well. And Dadi, for those maybe they are new, she was our head responsible of the Brahma Kumaris for many, many years, till a few years ago. And Daddy Kumarka was having a meeting with some people. It was a meeting between people there in Madhuban. And one of them started attacking her verbally. So, that person started attacking, being a bit agitating, reacting towards or against Daddy. But she remained very cool and kept listening to him. And then, because the conversation was going nowhere, she said, let's move to the second point of the agenda. And then she looked at that person that was attacking her earlier, and she said, please share your thoughts. Can you imagine? Usually when there is somebody in a gathering, in a meeting, they attack you. That's the last person you want to involve and, open the conversation. But she did that. And in my image of Daddy within the story, within the moment, it was like Daddy was so centered, so stable in her center. Her strength was a respect, tolerance, pure feelings, and at the root of that, her incredible faith. I think she was expressing faith from every cell, and as a worthy instrument of God. She was probably so intensely in that kind of faith of being a worthy instrument of God. Faith in that, faith in drama, faith in the family. And another step to be practiced is to choose to believe in the unlimited. Faith in the self can make the impossible become possible. Then I will see possibilities rather than obstacles. So which one will I choose? To believe that something is possible, it's also reinforcing my faith. And I will have the courage to go for it. We know that if I believe that something is impossible, I will get blocked. And I will feel frustrated afterwards. It's like a failure, a defeat. But faith in the self can push me and provide the courage to go for it, to try again, not to give up. Actually, the courage to never give up is very much connected with faith. And it can expand my horizon very far. Being far-sighted, it's also helping my faith. And Baba usually talks about 4 types of faith. Faith in the self. Of course, this is the topic of today. Faith in Baba. Faith in drama, the most difficult one. Faith in the family. 4 types of faith. And they all cross each other. Because if I do have faith in myself, of course, faith in Baba, it's definitely very powerful. But then this will help me to have faith in drama and faith in the family. Actually, they say that faith in God, it's easy. Often we say, oh, faith in Baba, it's easy. Faith in the self, a bit less. Faith in drama, even worse. Faith in the family with many question marks. But actually, faith in God, it's easy when it's blind faith. But true awareness, true understanding is not obvious at all. And Baba often says, very few knows me for what I really am. And I think this was one of the most enchanting phrases that I heard and stimulate me a lot. When Baba says, very few knows me as I really am. It's a good challenge. Do I really want to know Baba as he really is? Because that's so connected with willing to know me as I really am. And in fact, the fifth practice is to see yourself through God's eyes. Can I see myself through God's eyes? This is also a beautiful experience in meditation, to sit and try to see you as God sees you. It's a real and unshakable faith in myself that can only happen through God's eyes. I do have faith in myself at the same level if I see myself through God's eyes. And within the relationship with Baba, sometimes I don't need to believe in myself to act, but I only need to have faith that Baba is moving me. So this is to say that if my faith in myself reduces because of things that didn't work, mistake that has been done, sometimes we try to change sanskara and it doesn't happen. So becoming disheartened or not having such a big trust in the self at some point, the only cure for that is to access God's vision for me, God's plan for me. So sometimes I don't need to believe in myself to take a step, to do something, to act, but I only need to have faith in Baba, that he is moving me. So faith in God is actually essential to build faith in myself. We know that the aim of this life is full metamorphosis of the soul, full transformation of the soul. And sometimes to see the goal, the aim, more than me, is becoming aware that God will do so much for me, with me. It's like if I see where I'm going, being God's helper, see the goal that I'm working towards, then I can see how much God is doing for me. I don't think we will never, ever change as much as we do change, and we will change without Baba. And we know that very well. So Baba is doing a huge role in our transformation. And in fact, becoming Baba's helper, becoming his helper, is getting his help. So we get much more than what we give. So it's a huge business. It's a big achievement in a way. And not just that, we don't just get Baba's help, we also get Drama's help, because Drama conspire to lead us to victory. More and more, I trust, I have faith in drama, because many times things seems to be going in the wrong direction, or not really in a nice way, but eventually there is always a reason. And faith in drama, it is a reflection of faith in God and faith in the self. There is really a silver lining behind every situation. And drama conspires to help me to move forward. Maybe to settle some karma, maybe to learn a good lesson, maybe to understand something I didn't understand yet. So it's getting marks while passing through test of life. I win always something more, and reducing reaction and improving responses. This kind of faith has this wonderful outcome. It reduces my reaction to whatever and improve my ability to respond using virtues, using powers. So can I see myself with God's eyes? Is something that is enchanting. I don't know your experience, but for me, it's just an enchanting experience. And I thought about some special thoughts to practice. Thoughts like, God has faith in me. Because usually in Bhakti, we have faith in God. But here, God has faith in us. Why shouldn't I have faith in myself? God has faith in me. And why shouldn't I? And a kind of exercise, is to think of the person you want to become. Think like an angel, or think like a deity. Can I think as an angel would think, and can I think as a deity would think, rather than in my old way? And in this way, I practice to move towards that form and towards that experience. Just some exercises to practice. So I see that the time is gone. So that if there are some questions, I hope it's been useful.
Yes, thank you very much for explaining all these things so deeply. We really have to think deeper and put in practice all these things that you shared, because even if we are in Gyan for so many years, still there are moments that we don't have faith in the self.
Right.
Yes, but yeah, about I don't see any questions, but yes, you talked about faith is a shield, and what happens if there are souls that defame us? And yes, you shared about Tati Kumarka, but yes, how can we protect the self? What does it mean? Faith is a shield. Yes, I understand it, but if things or the drama is like that and people defame us publicly actually, what can we do at that time?
Yeah. For me, the shield of drama, of faith in the self, means that I deeply believe that I'm a pure soul with all the qualities. So I'm good, I'm special, I'm unique, and I sit in that awareness. And therefore, when somebody said you are whatever in a defamation mood, they refer to my acquired. So there is the inner and the acquired. If I consider and sit in my inner, then I'm very stable. If I goes outside on the periphery of the self, within the acquired nature, acquired sanskaras, then I can fluctuate a lot. And defamation, accusation, everything is attacking the acquired and not the innate, because the innate is pure and beautiful, is beyond attack. So that's why Baba explained who we are deeply, so that we can sit in that form and be that. And I remember many times having to face things like that. When you are playing a role which is at front, many times you are attacked. That's part of the game. And in my experience, what I practiced was to sit with Baba, give all that package to him, saying, it's yours, and becoming free. Actually, I remember once, I was probably 3 years in Gyan. I still remember the experience because it was so, was like a training. And, you know, a little fight with the sister, consistent actually, and the words were pretty strong. So I was very alterated, very hurt. And I was going to the kitchen and passing in front of Baba's room. And I felt the pull in Baba's room. So I deviated and sit in Baba's room. And as soon as I sat, I felt Baba's pulling the soul into a state of silence. And still I was kind of complaining and expressing my feeling of being upset and hurt, and you know, all that kind of emotional upheaval. And the more I was expressing that, and the more the energy from Baba was healing and cooling and healing and calming. And eventually everything was gone. And I thought, right, now I feel good, I can go in the kitchen. But it was 2.5 hours after. So I thought it was 10 minutes. It was 2.5 hours that took Baba to clean and cool me down. So I learned that Baba is a great healer. And I just need to get, you know, ego otherwise plays incredible games. And it's a real learning process to go, you know, bypass the layers of acquired and sit in the pure feeling of benevolence, mercy, compassion. And it's the practice of all this life. I think we cannot avoid tests such as defamation, accusation, injustice, people being not correct. It's part of the game, and is also a karmic account anyway. So I need to acknowledge that I have some karma anyway. So settle karma, learn the lesson. Settle karma, learn the lesson. And sit in your center. And
Wonderful.
what I learned is that from being very reactive, I used to be extremely reactive, extremely. So little by little, it took quite a long time and it's still going on, but it's much less. Reaction doesn't come. Sometimes I watch myself thinking now I will react and it doesn't come. It's like an energy that it doesn't come. And I think, where is that gone? It's amazing, but it took 30 plus years. So never lose hope.
Yes, thank you. Wonderful. And there is one question here. Have you ever failed in a faith test? And what did you do then?
If I experience, sorry,
If you ever failed in a faith test, and what did you do then?
I guess it means faith in the self.
Yes.
Faith in Papa, I don't think I never failed because it's extremely powerful. I mean, it's my life. Faith in the self, yes, surely I failed many times because being insecure, being not really knowing myself, how can we not fail? Is again is part of the package of metamorphosis. So definitely I failed many times. But the good things is what every morning in the Murli, Baba will, pull you up again. It's like sometime you just tung, and then the morning after, Baba will give you the signal how to stand again. And what I was saying before, never lose hope, never lose the courage to keep going. It's worth to keep going.
Very nice. I don't see any other question, but I see thank you for your deep explanations. That was from Sister Nesse. There is something else which I don't understand. It is probably Spanish or Portuguese. I'm not sure. It's not a question, actually. I don't see any question mark.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So, yes, you were very clear in everything. So, can you lead us to some meditation?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks to everybody. Many people were listening, so good.
Thank you. Thank you, Antonella. You were very essential, and everything you shared really touched our hearts and mind. Okay, let's have some meditation and then we need your dristi.
Okay. So I enjoy silence. That's the space I go back to experience the greatness of the soul, the beauty of the soul, and let love emerge. Let powers emerge. Let the best of yourself emerge. And silence accompanies me to the heart. It knows the way. And I stabilize myself in the sacred space within me, where nothing distracts me, where everything takes a different shape, where everything is colored by virtues and truth. And in that awareness, in that experience of being me, a soul, being light, I think and feel and move towards Baba, the greatest light, the greatest being, the Father of all of us, diving into his energy, getting lost in his silence, getting filled with his love, getting nourished by this energy, absorbing his light and might, becoming stronger inside, accumulating power, the power of peace, the power of love, the power of silence. And I ask myself, can I see myself through God's eyes? And what I see? Can I see myself through God's eyes? And what I see? And I allow Baba to whisper in my ear something new about me. Allow Baba to whisper in your ear something new about you. And treasure that as a gift from your father, your mother, your friend, your life companion. And the energy that I absorb and the silence I've been diving in becomes the energy I share with the world. With love and peace. Om Shanti.